At Christmas dinner, my sister smiled across the table and said, "Mom and Dad already agreed I'll move into your new apartment next week." My heart stopped. Not because I was surprised she wanted something from me. That was normal. Expected, even. But because she said it like that. In front of everyone. With that smile, that confident, entitled smile that said she'd already won. Before we dive into this story, tell us where in the world you're watching from and what time it is right now. Someone near you might be watching too. And don't forget to subscribe to support and appreciate the work we do on this channel. The fork in my hand froze mid-air, turkey and stuffing halfway to my mouth. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Everyone stared at me, waiting. My mom was beaming, glowing like Celia had just announced she was getting married or graduating from Harvard. Her eyes were shining with pride. Pride for what? For my sister announcing she was taking my property? My dad nodded, slow, deliberate, like he'd already signed off on this, like my opinion didn't matter. Like the apartment I bought with my own money was somehow a family decision. My aunt raised her wine glass, ready to toast. My uncle kept chewing, but his eyes darted to me, waiting for my reaction. My cousin Sarah didn't even look up from her phone. This was just another family drama to her. Background noise. But Celia, God, Celia. She leaned back in her chair like a queen on a throne, twirling her perfectly curled hair around her finger. She was wearing a cream-colored cashmere sweater that probably cost $300. Money she didn't earn, money our parents gave her. Again, her smile was wide, confident, victorious. She thought she'd trapped me, cornered me, forced my hand in front of the whole family so I'd be too polite to say no, too embarrassed to make a scene, too weak to stand up for myself. This wasn't a request. This was an ambush, and they were all in on it. I felt something hot and sharp twist in my chest. Not panic, not fear, rage, pure, quiet, simmering rage that sat in my stomach like burning coal. But I didn't explode. I didn't slam my fork down. I didn't yell or cry or storm out. I did something better. I took a slow sip of wine, let the silence stretch, let it get uncomfortable, let them all sit there wondering what I was going to do. Let Celia's smile waver, just slightly. Then I set my glass down, looked her straight in the eyes, and smiled. "Oh, really? That's nice of you to let me know in advance. Tuesday should be perfect." Celia's grin exploded across her face. She actually clapped her hands together like a child who just got a puppy for Christmas. "Oh my God, thank you so much, Leah. I knew you'd understand. This is going to be amazing. We can decorate together and make it so cute and—" "Sure," I said, cutting her off. My voice was calm, steady, sweet, even. "Tuesday works great." Mom reached over and squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. "You're such a good sister. I'm so proud of you." Dad nodded, like I'd just done something noble. This is what family does. We take care of each other. My aunt lifted her glass higher, to new beginnings and sisterly love. Everyone clinked glasses, smiling, celebrating. Everyone except me. I just sat there, nodding, smiling, playing the part they expected me to play. But inside? Inside, I was already 10 steps ahead. Because what none of them knew, what Celia especially didn't know, was that I'd already rented that apartment to a sweet retired couple named Margaret and Robert Callahan. They'd signed the lease on Monday. 3 days ago, paid the deposit in full, first and last month's rent. Everything legal, everything binding, everything official. The keys were already in their hands. Celia thought she was moving into my apartment on Tuesday. And she was right about one thing: Tuesday was definitely going to be interesting, because she had no idea what was waiting for her. If only she knew what I had already done. But let me back up. Let me explain how we got here. How my own family betrayed me at Christmas dinner and thought I'd just take it. Because this didn't start at that table. This started 29 years ago. The day I was born into a family that valued one daughter over the other. The day I learned that hard work means nothing when someone else gets rewarded for doing nothing. My name is Leah, and I'm 29 years old. I've worked since I was 15 babysitting, waiting tables, cleaning offices, whatever paid the bills. My first job was babysitting the Henderson twins down the street. 2 screaming 5-year-olds who thought it was funny to hide my shoes and lock me out of the bathroom. I made $7 an hour. I saved every penny. At 16, I got a job at a diner called Mel's, the kind of place with sticky floors and coffee that tasted like burnt rubber. I worked Friday nights and Sunday mornings. My hands smelled like grease for years. At 17, I added a 3rd job cleaning offices downtown. I'd finish my shift at the diner at 10 p.m., drive across town, and vacuum corporate cubicles until 2 a.m. Then I'd go home, sleep for 4 hours, and get up for school. My parents always said life was about hard work, about earning what you get, about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. But they never said that to my sister, Celia. Celia is 26, 3 years younger than me, and she was born tired. She called herself a free spirit, which really meant she avoided anything that looked like effort. She quit dance class after 2 weeks because the instructor was too intense. She quit soccer because practice was too early. She quit piano lessons because the keys hurt her fingers. Our parents never pushed her. They just nodded and said, "That's okay, sweetie. You'll find your thing." Meanwhile, I was working 3 jobs and keeping my GPA above 3.5 because my parents said I needed to set a good example. Celia got everything handed to her. Our parents paid her rent when she moved out at 23, paid her car insurance, paid her credit card bills when she maxed them out buying candles and astrology books. She was the baby, the one who just needed time to find herself. I moved out at 18. The day after graduation, I packed my car and left. I found a tiny studio apartment on the east side of town. It was loud. The neighbor downstairs smoked so much the smell seeped through the vents. The bathroom had mold in the corners that I scrubbed every week but never fully went away. The kitchen was so small I could touch both walls at the same time. The fridge hummed so loud I couldn't sleep some nights. The heating barely worked in winter, but it was mine. I studied during the day and worked at night. While my high school friends were at frat parties and football games, I was pulling double shifts at the diner. While Celia was posting beach selfies from trips our parents paid for, I was eating instant ramen and setting aside $20 a week in a savings account. $20 doesn't sound like much, but over time, it added up. I enrolled in a dental hygiene program at the community college. It wasn't glamorous, but it was practical, stable, good money. I could see a future in it. I studied between shifts, did my homework in my car during breaks, fell asleep with textbooks on my chest more times than I can count. It took me 5 years to finish a 2-year program because I couldn't afford full-time tuition, but I did it. I graduated, got my license, got a job at a family dental practice, and slowly, painfully, year by year, I built a life. I paid off my student loans, all of them. It took 3 years of living on nothing, but I did it. Then I saved for a down payment. It took another 4 years. 4 years of no vacations, no new clothes, no nights out. But finally, after years of secondhand furniture and instant noodles, I bought my first apartment. It wasn't big, it wasn't fancy, but it was bright. It was clean, it was peaceful, it was mine. Meanwhile, Celia drifted through life like a balloon with no string. 1 month, she was starting a podcast about astrology and manifestation. She bought an expensive microphone, fancy LED lights, and recorded 2 episodes. Then she quit because the algorithm wasn't working in her favor. The next month, she was taking a break for her mental health after working 3 weeks at a boutique downtown. She said the manager was toxic, and the customers were draining her energy. After that, she tried being a dog walker. Lasted 2 days. Said the dogs were too energetic. Then she sold crystals on Etsy for a month, made $12. Then she got really into yoga and said she was going to become an instructor. Went to 1 class. Never went back. Every few months, it was something new. Some fresh idea, some exciting opportunity that would change everything. And every few months, she'd quit. But our parents never called it quitting. They called it exploring. They called it finding her path. She'd quit every job within weeks, sometimes days, and every single time, Mom and Dad made excuses for her. Mom would say, "She's just creative, Leah. You've always been the practical one." That word practical felt like a polite insult. It meant I was boring, predictable, reliable in the way a vacuum cleaner is reliable, useful, but not special. It meant I could be counted on to shut up and clean up Celia's messes. Dad would add, "Not everyone's built like you, kiddo. Some people need more support." Support. Right. Because apparently working 3 jobs at 17 and putting yourself through school is what you do when you don't need support. Celia needed support to get out of bed most days. When I bought my first apartment, Mom came to see it once. She walked through, nodded politely, and said, "It's nice, honey. A little small, but it's a good starter." Place. When Celia rented a studio with our parents' money, one with exposed brick and a chandelier she didn't pay for, Mom posted 15 photos on Facebook with captions like, "So proud of my baby girl's new space." When I got promoted to senior hygienist, Dad said, "That's great, kiddo," and changed the subject. When Celia got hired at a coffee shop, they threw her a celebration dinner, bought her a cake, gave her a gift card. She quit 3 weeks later. I stopped expecting praise, stopped expecting recognition. I just kept working. But the thing that really got to me, the thing that burned in my chest every time I saw Celia, was how ungrateful she was. She never said thank you, never acknowledged how much our parents gave her, never seemed to realize that most people her age were working full-time jobs and paying their own bills. She acted like she deserved it, like the world owed her something. And maybe that's what happens when you're handed everything. You start to believe it's yours by default. I watched her coast through life while I fought for every inch. I watched her complain about being tired while I worked 50-hour weeks. I watched her post Instagram stories about self-care Sundays while I scrubbed toilets to make rent. And I tried not to be bitter. I really did. But bitterness has a way of building up, like plaque on teeth. You don't notice it at first, but over time, it hardens. And by the time I was 29, I had a decade's worth of bitterness built up. I'd spent 10 years watching Celia get everything while I got nothing. 10 years watching my parents baby her while I raised myself. 10 years being the responsible one, the practical one, the one nobody worried about because I had it handled. I had it handled. All right. And I was about to handle Celia too. Things started getting tense last summer. Celia moved back home again after another career burnout. This time it was the dog walking gig. She quit after 2 days because the dogs were too energetic and the owners were too demanding. I didn't say anything when Mom told me. What was the point? Celia would do whatever Celia wanted, and our parents would support her no matter what. But then she started showing up at my apartment. Every weekend, she'd text me, "Hey, can I come over? I need to get out of the house." At first, I said yes. Because that's what you do, right? You let your sister visit. But visiting for Celia meant something very different than it did for normal people. She'd show up at noon, unannounced, even if I'd said I was busy. She'd walk straight to my fridge and start eating my food, leftover pasta I'd made for the week, the fancy cheese I'd bought as a treat, the last yogurt I was saving for breakfast. "You don't mind, right?" she'd say, already halfway through it. Then she'd stretch out on my couch with her feet on my coffee table shoes still on and complain about how hard her life was. "You're so lucky, Leah," she'd say, scrolling through her phone. "You have your life together. You have this nice place, a good job. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing. Lucky. Like I'd won the lottery. Like I hadn't sacrificed every weekend for 10 years to get here." She'd use my Netflix without asking, leave her dirty dishes in my sink, use my expensive shampoo in the shower and leave the cap off so it dried out. Then she'd hug me goodbye and say, "Thanks for always being there for me. You're the best." And I'd smile and say, "Anytime." But inside, I was screaming. One Saturday in July, she showed up while I was cleaning. I was on my hands and knees scrubbing the bathroom floor when I heard my front door open. I froze. I hadn't given her a key. "Leah?" she called out. I walked into the living room. She was standing in my kitchen, digging through my drawers. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Looking for your spare key?" she said casually, like it was the most normal thing in the world. She pulled it out of the junk drawer, held it up like a trophy. "Found it. I should keep this," she said, sliding it into her purse, "in case I ever need to crash here." My stomach dropped. "Celia, no. Give it back." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Come on, don't be weird. We're sisters. I'm serious. Give me the key." She rolled her eyes like I was being ridiculous. "God, you're so uptight." "Fine." She tossed it on the counter with a loud clang. Then she grabbed a soda from my fridge and walked out. I stood there, staring at the key, my hands still wet from cleaning. That night, I called Mom. Told her what happened. I thought she'd be on my side. I thought she'd tell Celia to respect my space. Instead, Mom sighed. "Oh, come on, Leah. She's your sister. Don't be so cold." Cold. That's what I was for wanting boundaries. Dad didn't say much when I brought it up to him. He just shrugged. "She didn't mean anything by it. You know how she is." Yeah, I knew exactly how she was. And that's when I started to realize they would never stop babying her. They would never hold her accountable. They would never see her for what she really was. A manipulative, entitled, lazy person who expected the world to hand her everything. And if I didn't protect myself, they'd hand her everything I worked for and call it love. In November, I bought a second property, a small apartment downtown that I planned to rent out. It wasn't anything fancy, just a one-bedroom with decent light and hardwood floors that needed refinishing. The kitchen was outdated but functional. The bathroom had old tile but good water pressure, but it was solid. It had potential, and most importantly, it was an investment. My investment. I didn't tell my family right away. I wanted to enjoy it. Just for a while, without comments, without advice, without Celia asking if she could use it for her creative retreats or whatever new phase she was going through. I spent weeks getting it ready. A night after work, I'd drive over with my toolkit and supplies. I painted the walls myself, a soft gray that made the space feel bigger. I sanded down the hardwood floors until my arms ached. I replaced the old cabinet handles with brushed nickel ones. I fixed the leaky faucet in the bathroom. I scrubbed years of grime off the baseboards. My hands were covered in blisters. My back hurt. I smelled like paint thinner and sweat most nights. But I didn't care. It felt good. Building something that was mine. Something I earned. Something nobody could take credit for except me. I'd stand in the empty living room at night, after hours of work, and just look around, at the fresh paint, at the clean floors, at the potential. This was mine. But somehow, Celia found out. I don't know how. Maybe Mom told her. Maybe she saw the paperwork when she was snooping around at my parents' house during Thanksgiving. Maybe she overheard Dad talking about it on the phone. Either way, she knew. She texted me one night around 10 p.m. "Heard you bought another place downtown. That's so cool. Can I see it?" I stared at the text for 5 minutes. Then I put my phone down and ignored it. The next day, she called. 3 times. I didn't answer. Then she showed up at my door on a Wednesday night. I opened it and found her standing there with a bottle of cheap wine and a big smile. "Surprise," she said, pushing past me into my apartment. "I brought wine. Let's celebrate your new place." "Celia, I'm busy." "Oh, come on. Don't be like that." She plopped down on my couch and kicked off her shoes. "I just want to see it. I'm proud of you, Leah. Seriously. Proud. Right. It's not ready yet," I said. "So? I don't care if it's messy. Come on, let's go look at it together. We could grab dinner after." My treat. Her treat. With whose money? "I can't tonight," I said. "Tomorrow then?" "I'm working." "This weekend?" "Busy." She frowned. "Why are you being so weird about this?" "I'm not being weird. I just don't want to show it yet." "Are you embarrassed or something?" "Leah, I'm not going to judge you. I know it's probably not as nice as this place, but..." "It's fine, Celia. I just want to finish it first." She stared at me. Then she shrugged. "Whatever. You've been acting strange lately anyway." She left 20 minutes later, taking the unopened wine bottle with her. I locked the door behind her and exhaled. But I knew she wouldn't let it go. Celia never let anything go if she thought it could benefit her. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Mom. "Celia's really struggling," she said, her voice heavy with concern. "She's thinking about moving out again, but rent is so expensive now." I told her maybe you could help. There it was. The setup. "Help how?" I asked, even though I already knew. "Well, you have that extra apartment now. Maybe she could stay there for a bit, just until she gets on her feet." I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. "I'll think about it," I said. But I wasn't thinking about it. I was planning. Okay, so here's where it gets good. If you're Team Leah right now, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss how this plays out. And drop a comment. Team Leah or Team Celia? Let's see where everyone stands. Trust me, the next part is going to be worth it. The next few days I made a few phone calls. The apartment she thought she was moving into wasn't empty anymore. It was rented to a sweet retired couple who paid the deposit the week before Christmas. Their names were Margaret and Robert Callahan. They'd contacted me 3 weeks earlier through a rental listing I'd posted online. They were in their mid-60s, recently retired, looking for something quiet and manageable downtown. We met at the apartment on a Tuesday afternoon. Margaret brought homemade cookies in a tin. Robert carried a folder with their financial documents, references, and a credit report. They were prepared, respectful, kind. Margaret walked through the apartment slowly, running her hand along the freshly painted walls. "This is lovely," she said. "The light in here is just beautiful." Robert checked the water pressure, opened and closed the cabinets, tested the windows. "You did a great job fixing this place up," he said. "It's solid." We sat at the kitchen counter and talked for an hour. They told me about their kids, their grandkids, their plans to volunteer at the library. They asked about lease terms, utilities, parking. They were everything Celia wasn't. Responsible, grateful, ready. "We'd love to take it," Margaret said, "if you'll have us." I smiled. "When can you move in?" "As soon as possible," Robert said. "We're staying with our daughter right now and don't want to overstay our welcome." "How about the week of Christmas?" I asked. They looked at each other, smiled. "Perfect." We signed the lease that day. They paid the deposit in full, first and last month's rent. Everything legal, everything official, everything documented. When they left, Margaret hugged me. "Thank you so much, dear. This is exactly what we've been looking for." I handed them the keys. "Welcome home." I drove back to my apartment feeling lighter than I had in months, because I knew what was coming, and I was ready. On Tuesday afternoon, Celia arrived with 4 suitcases, 2 garbage bags, and her cat. I was already there, standing outside the building, arms crossed, waiting. She pulled up in a U-Haul. An actual U-Haul. For someone who supposedly owned nothing but clothes and scented candles. Her boyfriend Travis was driving. Behind them, Mom's car pulled up. Of course Mom came. She wouldn't miss this. Celia climbed out wearing oversized sunglasses and a tank top that said, "Good vibes only." She waved at me like we were meeting for brunch. "Hey, thanks for doing this, Leah. Seriously, you're saving my life." I didn't move, just watched. Travis hauled out a suitcase, then another, then another. 4 total, plus the garbage bags, plus the cat carrier with Mr. Whiskers howling inside like he was being murdered. Celia grabbed her purse and walked toward the building entrance. Then she stopped, frowned. There was a name on the doorbell, not hers. Leah?" She turned around, confused. "Why does it say Callahan on the buzzer?" I stepped forward, slowly, calmly. "Oh, that? You said you were moving in Tuesday. I didn't realize you meant my apartment. You didn't specify, so I helped you out." Her face went blank. "What are you talking about?" I pulled a folder from my bag. The same kind of folder the Callahans had brought. Organized, professional, prepared. I handed it to her. She opened it. Inside were photos of a basement suite across town, a rental agreement, contact info for the landlord, a map with directions. Her jaw dropped. "What is this?" "Your new place," I said. "Shared room, super affordable, $300 a month. Since you don't have a job, I figured this would be realistic for you." Travis looked at the paper, then at Celia, then at me. Mom got out of her car. "Leah, what's going on?" "I found Celia a place," I said. "She's moving in today, just like she wanted." Celia's hand started shaking. The folder slipped. Papers scattered across the sidewalk. "You're kidding." I looked her dead in the eyes. "Nope. The apartment you assumed was yours? I rented it to a lovely retired couple. They moved in yesterday." Celia's face turned red, then white, then red again. "You can't do this." "I just did." That night my phone exploded with calls. 17 missed calls before 9 p.m. 32 text messages. Voicemails piling up so fast my inbox filled. Mom was furious. "How could you humiliate your sister like that on Christmas week? In front of everyone? What is wrong with you?" I stayed calm. My voice was steady. Mom, she assumed something that wasn't true. I didn't embarrass her, she embarrassed herself. You knew what she meant. You knew she was talking about your apartment. She never asked me. She announced it at Christmas dinner like it was already decided, like my property was hers to claim. Because we're family, that's what family does. No, Mom. Family asks. Family respects boundaries. Family doesn't assume they can take what someone else worked for. She went quiet for a second. Then her voice got sharper, colder. "You've changed, Leah. Money and success have made you selfish." Selfish. There was that word again. "I'm not selfish for protecting what I built," I said. "You're selfish for abandoning your sister when she needs you most." I almost laughed. Almost. "She doesn't need me, Mom. She needs to grow up." Mom hung up. 20 minutes later, Dad called. He was quieter, more measured, but I could hear the disappointment in his voice. "You could have talked to us first," he said. "Like Celia did?" I asked. Silence. "Dad, she didn't ask. She told. There's a difference. Still, you could have handled it better." "How? By giving her my apartment and pretending it was okay?" He didn't answer, just sighed. "This isn't the person I raised you to be." That stung. More than I wanted to admit. Then maybe you didn't know me as well as you thought, I said. He hung up without saying goodbye. For the next few days, I was the villain, the black sheep, the cold-hearted sister who valued money over family. My aunt called me selfish. My uncle said I took things too far. My cousin Sarah texted me, "Wow, I didn't think you were that kind of person," Celia posted on Instagram, a long dramatic caption about betrayal and toxic family dynamics. She didn't name me, but everyone knew. "Some people change when they get a little success," she wrote. "They forget where they came from. They forget family. All I wanted was support during a hard time, but instead I got betrayed by the one person I thought I could trust. If you're reading this and you've ever been abandoned by family, just know you're not alone. Sending love and light." The comments poured in. "You deserve so much better, Queen. Family should lift you up, not tear you down. This is so toxic. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Stay strong, babe. Real ones know your worth." A few of my cousins liked the post. My aunt commented, "Praying for healing and peace for you, sweetheart." I stared at my phone. Part of me wanted to respond, to tell the truth, to post screenshots of her texts demanding to move in, to explain that I didn't betray her. She tried to manipulate me, but I didn't, because the people who mattered already knew the truth, and the people who didn't, they weren't worth my energy. But then something unexpected happened. The Callahans left a glowing review online, 5 stars, a long paragraph about how professional and kind I was, how well-maintained the apartment was, how smooth the process went. My boss, Dr. Patel, saw it. He mentioned it at work in front of the whole staff. "Leah's not just great here, she's running a side business like a pro." A few coworkers asked me for advice on buying their first place. One asked if I had any other properties available. Suddenly, I wasn't just the practical sister who worked hard and kept quiet. I was someone people looked up to, someone people respected. Can we just take a second to appreciate that plot twist? If you're loving this energy, go ahead and subscribe. There's more stories like this coming. And here's my question for you. Have you ever been the practical one in your family? The one who gets taken for granted? Comment below. I want to hear your stories because I know I'm not the only one who's been through this. A week later, Mom tried one more guilt trip. She showed up at my apartment unannounced. Again, I was making dinner when I heard the knock. I opened the door. She stood there with her arms crossed, her face tight. "We need to talk," she said. I didn't invite her in right away, just stood there, holding the door halfway open. "About what?" "About your sister. About this whole situation." I stepped aside, let her in, not because I wanted to, but because I knew she wouldn't leave until she'd said her piece. She sat on my couch. I stayed standing, kept my distance. "Leah, this has gone on long enough," she started. "Celia is heartbroken. She's barely eating. She cries every day. Do you even care?" "That's not my responsibility," I said. Mom's eyes widened like I'd slapped her. "How can you say that? She's your sister. And I'm your daughter," I said. "But you've never defended me, not once." She looked away, uncomfortable. "That's not true, isn't it?" I crossed my arms. "You've spent my entire life making excuses for Celia. She's creative, she's sensitive, she needs more time. She needs more support. What about me? What about what I need?" "You're different," Mom said quietly. "You've always been so independent, so strong. You don't need us the way she does." There it was, the truth she'd been dancing around my whole life. "So I get punished for being responsible?" I asked. "That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying, Mom?" She rubbed her face, looked tired, older than I remembered. "I'm saying you could have handled this differently. You didn't have to humiliate her. You could have talked to us, worked something out." "Worked something out," I repeated. "Like what? Give her my apartment and smile about it?" "You could have helped her find something better than a basement. I found her something she could afford, which is more than you've ever made her do." Mom stood up. Her voice got louder. "This isn't about right or wrong, Leah. This is about family, about compassion, about doing what's right." "Right for who?" I shot back. "Celia? You?" "Because it's never been about me. You're being dramatic. I'm being honest." We stood there in my living room, the air between us thick and heavy with years of unsaid things. Finally, Mom spoke again, softer this time, almost pleading. "Please, Leah, just apologize to her. Help her find something better. She's your sister. She's struggling. I looked at my mother, really looked at her. I saw the desperation in her eyes, the need to fix this, to make everyone happy, to keep the peace. But keeping the peace had cost me everything. My time, my energy, my self-respect. Not anymore. No, I said. Mom blinked. What? I said, no, Mom. I'm not apologizing. I'm not helping her find something better. I'm done. Leah, I'm done fixing her problems. I'm done being the backup plan. I'm done sacrificing myself so she can stay comfortable. I'm done. Mom stared at me like she didn't recognize me, like I'd become someone she'd never met. You've really changed, she said quietly. No, I said. I finally started standing up for myself. There's a difference. She grabbed her purse, walked to the door, stopped with her hand on the handle. I hope you don't regret this, she said without turning around. I won't, I said. And I meant it. She left. The door clicked shut behind her. I stood there, in the silence of my apartment, my space, my home, the place I built with my own hands and my own money. And for the first time in my entire life, I didn't feel guilty for choosing myself. I felt free. As for me, I kept my boundaries. That was the hardest part. Not setting them, keeping them. Because after that conversation with Mom, the calls kept coming. The texts, the guilt trips, the attempts to pull me back in. Celia sent me long messages at 2 a.m. I can't believe you're doing this to me. I thought you loved me. I guess I was wrong about you. My aunt called to tell me I was breaking Mom's heart. My uncle said I was tearing the family apart. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly had opinions about my character. But I didn't respond, didn't engage, didn't defend myself. I just kept living my life. I furnished my own apartment exactly the way I wanted. No compromises, no second opinions, just my taste, my style, my peace. I bought a velvet couch in deep blue, hung artwork I actually liked, got plants that made the space feel alive. I spent weekends organizing, decorating, making the place feel like home. No surprise visits, no drama, no Celia eating my food and leaving her mess behind. Just peace. Celia eventually found a part-time job at a coffee shop downtown. I heard about it through the family grapevine. Mom made sure everyone knew, like it was some huge accomplishment. 3 months later, I heard she got her own studio apartment. A real one. Not the basement I'd found for her. She refused to even look at that place. She posted photos on Instagram. It was small, cramped, the kind of place I would have lived in at 22, but it was hers. And she was paying for it herself. She didn't thank me, didn't acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, being forced to stand on her own 2 feet was exactly what she needed. But I didn't need her thanks. I needed my peace. And I finally had it. Last month, I adopted a rescue dog. A scruffy terrier mix named Milo, with one floppy ear and a crooked tail. He was scared of everything at first. Hid under the bed, wouldn't eat, flinched when I reached for him. But slowly, with patience and time, he learned to trust me. Now he sleeps at the foot of my bed, follows me from room to room, gets excited when I come home from work. Every evening, we walk through the quiet streets near my apartment, past the coffee shop where young couples sit on the patio, past the park where kids play soccer, past the old bookstore with the cat in the window. And during those walks, when the city is calm and the air is cool, I think about that Christmas dinner. I think about Celia's smug smile, about my parents' expectant faces, about the moment I said, Tuesday should be perfect. And I smile, because for once, the lazy sister didn't win, and I didn't have to lose myself to prove it. My relationship with my parents is different now. Distant, polite. We talk on birthdays and holidays, but the warmth is gone. Maybe it was never really there to begin with. Celia and I don't speak. She blocked me on social media. Fine by me. I don't miss the drama. Don't miss the guilt. Don't miss being the family dumping ground. I miss the idea of what family should be, but I don't miss what ours actually was. Sometimes people ask me if I regret it, if I wish I'd handled things differently, and I tell them the truth. No. Because sometimes, peace doesn't come from forgiving someone. It comes from finally closing the door they keep walking through. I closed that door, locked it, and threw away the key. And on the other side, I found something better than family approval. I found myself. Milo barks at a squirrel. I laugh and tug his leash gently. We keep walking. The sunset is beautiful. The air smells like jasmine. And for the first time in 29 years, I'm not waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm just living. So that's the story. Leah stood her ground, set her boundaries, and chose herself. If this story hit home for you, do me a favor, subscribe so you never miss another one, and drop a comment telling me, what would you have done in Leah's position? Would you have given in or stood your ground? Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.